Hello, Barendipitous here with another video for the Board Game Shelf, and here I'm going to talk about Compile. Now, this is actually two different versions of Compile. One of them is just like normal, and the other one has like a 2 on it. It says Compile main 2, so it's Compile main 1, Compile main 2. I'm aware there's a small expansion for each of these, like expansion 1, expansion 2, whatever. These are each standalone games. I discovered Compile from a Shut Up and Sit Down board game review a little while ago, and of course, as you may recall, I own Air, Land, and Sea, as well as Lies, Spies, and Supplies, which is a three lane sort of a battle for control card game, very very fast and quick and efficient. You have three theaters or three areas that you're trying to take control over against your opponent. And each card has a certain value, and you're generally trying to have a higher value on your side of a certain stage or theater or lane than your opponent. But also the cards have various abilities. Compile on the surface is very much like that, but it is also very much a sort of a sci-fi or cyberpunk kind of a feeling game. So instead of having three normal lanes, you each basically you each draft three different domains, shall we say? I forget exactly what these are called in the game, but yeah, you got things like darkness, death, fire, gravity, life, light, and so forth. Right? All these sort of like general concepts. Right? There's a bit of a story about how you are competing artificial intelligences trying to reality has crumbled, and you're trying to reshape reality into the three principles that you care about, right? So one player chooses one of these, the second player chooses two of them, and then the first player chooses two more, and then the second player chooses one. So you each end up with three. And there are a total of 6 cards associated with each of these. So you will end up with a deck of 18 cards that are a mix of the three sort of domains that you have. For example, if you choose darkness as one of your 3, you're going to get all 6 of these cards as part of your deck, right? We put these in sleeves because these are just lovely, like shiny, really shiny, cool cards, right? But yeah. That's essentially how the game is built, and you have your 3 lanes, and your opponent has their 3 lanes as well, and you're trying to compile your 3 before your opponent compiles their 3. And the way that you compile is that if at the end of like your turn, or no, if at the beginning of your turn you have reached 10 or higher, and in terms of total numbers, right? Numbers, these numbers up here on the cards. And if you are still higher than your opponent, then you compile, and all cards in that lane, yours and your opponent's, are basically deleted, discarded, and you flip yours over to the compile side, basically. Um, so, but however, of course, you can still play cards on the compiled things, and there's several other rules as well. And also, generally, unless the card says otherwise, you can only play darkness cards in the darkness lane, or fire cards in the fire lane, or things like that. But there are various effects that the cards will allow you to sort of like move things around, and so on and so forth. Right? It's my understanding, as far as I've seen, that each of these, all the 6 cards has numbers from 0 to 5, so you have all of those, right? But then there's also these 3 abilities here. The middle ability is always an immediate ability. This happens as soon as you play it, but it also happens as soon as it's revealed. Like, cards can be flipped over. You can play something face down, which means that you can play it anywhere, but it also has a value of 2, which is, of course, fairly low. But also, cards can be flipped. So when any time that this is revealed, this happens. So when you play it, it happens. You discard 1 card. When it's flipped over from the back side to the front side, this happens. When a card covers it up and then is removed and put somewhere else or discarded, this happens. Okay. Now that is something else. You cover cards like this, keeping the top section open. That's because the top ability. Let me try to find something else here. The top ability is an ongoing ability that does not get covered up. For example, this metal card here, when this card would be covered or flipped, first delete this card. That's an ongoing ability. Your opponent cannot play cards face down in this line, this lane, basically. So yeah, so the top ability is always going to be uncovered, even when you place a card on top of it, right? Now the bottom ability are also ongoing abilities, but they can more easily be covered, right? Let me try to find an example of that. Here we go. And at the end of the game, at the end, no, at the end of your turn, you may discard one card. If you do, flip one card, right? And generally, unless a card says otherwise, you can only move or flip or delete or otherwise manipulate a card that is not covered, right? So covered cards tend to be more protected, essentially. But yeah, this is I've already played this a couple of times with Cobweb. We both like it a lot. And there's one thing about Compile. Obviously the presentation is really really cool. It just looks really sleek and slick and just really cool. One thing I liked about the way Shut Up and Sit Down described it was they kind of compared this a little bit to Netrunner, the card game. Now, of course, Netrunner as a game plays very differently from Compile, but the reason they brought up Netrunner was that this is very good. This is a very quick, easy to learn and short game that just is contained in one box that can kind of scratch that sort of Netrunner itch, essentially. Because I've always kind of been interested in the Netrunner, the card game, but I just have too many other games, too many other hobbies, and I feel like I shouldn't. Not that I don't want to spend the time and resources to get all the cards or maybe proxy all the cards or something and learn it and play it, but I just really can't, because I'm so interested in so many other things. And so this scratches that itch of wanting to kind of playing as some sort of hacker or artificial intelligence trying to hack reality or something like that, and against your opponent and trying to sabotage your opponent in sort of a cyberpunk virtual reality kind of a setting. This feels like a very simple kind of thing in the same vein as Netrunner, right? Compile 2, basically the same exact rules. The only difference is that the domains are different, basically. So I'll show you all of them here. So yeah, we got chaos, luck, mirror, time. Oh yeah, these are yeah. So again, the non-compiled side is all glitchy, but then the compiled side is much more clear. So yeah, mirror, luck, chaos, time, and you can see all these other ones on here as well. Courage, fear, peace, smoke, war, and the expansions basically just add. Each expansion adds 3 more of these domains, basically. So there's that. But yeah, that is Compile. Very much, if there was a sort of Netrunner themed Air, Land, and Sea, I suppose, that's kind of what you got here. Also, these boxes just look really cool, right? So. Yeah. If these cards were not sleeved, there would be a lot of extra room in here. So that was one reason we wanted to sleeve them, but also we wanted to protect the cards because they just look really cool. So I highly recommend Compile for multiple reasons. It's just fun. It's easy to learn. It's quick. It doesn't take up a lot of space. And yeah, if you can find it, I think Compile Main 2 might be a little harder to find because it's a bit newer. And I think it was only sold at Gen Con for a little bit, but we found it at a board game store. So, there's that. But yeah, there you go. I enjoyed it. I think Compile is really, really cool. And it's a great addition next to Air, Land, and Sea. And also, we just don't have very many, there's not a lot of sci-fi or cyberpunk style games in our collection. So this is a great addition to that. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And until next time, all the best.